Thank you for downloading this latest episode of the Business of Fun podcast. I'm your host, Dave Wakeman. My guest today is Jakob Eliason, and he has Pickleball as a service. What a cool idea. I'll talk to you about Jakob and his idea and my conversation with Jakob in just a moment. Before I do, though, this is the start of the fall. I am recording this on Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. The boy went back to school today, so I was able to get back into my office and do things. A few things that I want to point you towards before we get to my conversation with Jakob. Number one, I am running the first ever global talking ticket survey of people in the industry that sell tickets, market tickets, sports, entertainment, performing arts, all of those things. I'm trying to get as many diverse voices as I possibly can for the Talking Tickets 2025 State of the Industry survey. The link is in the show notes. It'll take you about 3 to 4 minutes to fill it out. It'll help me get guests for the podcast, things for the newsletter, all this stuff. So check that out. If you do not already, make sure you get the Talking Tickets newsletters at talkingtickets.substack.com. A bunch of new stuff. I've got some ideas that will be rolling out in the next couple weeks. I have spent the summer in my little mad laboratory. So you will be the beneficiary, so check it out. And as always, point you right towards my webpage. It's davewakeman.com, where you find everything. Also, I'm going to ramp up the podcast for the fall. So if you have suggestions of guests, topics you need or want covered, anything like that, send me a note, dave@davewakeman.com. Or if you just want to say hello, feel free. Go ahead and do it. But back to my conversation with Jakob. Jakob Eliason is one of the founders of Pickleball Pop Ups. He wanted to come on and talk about this idea that he's created called Pickleball as a service, which I thought was really interesting because you can make pickleball tournaments, pickleball courts, pickleball anywhere. It's fun, right? That's one of the big things. But for you, it's a way to utilize spaces, create interesting activations for the people that are listening that if you do a conference or you participate in a conference, it's a conversation point. It was really kind of cool, like the way this idea came about. So we talked about how this pickleball pop-up idea started. It started with craft beer, which I was very interested in. We talked about some of the pluses and minuses that Jakob and his partner discovered during the course of building this business. We talked about where the business is going. We talked about the financial model, the monetization. We talked about where you can create these things, some of the interesting places that they've put pickleball courts. We talked about how it's a turnkey solution. We focused on kind of the halo effect of pickleball, kind of the popularity of the sport, and how it can help people raise top-of-mind awareness about their venues, their events, their products and services. This is something that I thought was cool. I would like to see it happen. You know, I was sharing with him some of the things and activations that I saw Simon and Kat do for Booking Protect back in the days. This is cool. So here's my conversation with Jakob Eliason on the Business of Fun. All right, I want to welcome Jakob Eliason to the Business of Fun. Jakob, man, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's the Friday before a holiday weekend, and so just like what we were talking about, this is one of the last things that I've got to do today. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm headed to the beach in the morning. So I get a whole.
Which beach do you go to? Because you're in Memphis.
Yes, we go to this week. I'm going to Destin, Florida, and so typically we'll be somewhere Orange Beach. Or Gulf Shores or Destin, Panama City area. So yeah, 7-8 hours. So it's a pretty easy drive.
That's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. because I was going to say I'm familiar with the beaches. Well, I'm familiar with the beaches of Florida, but I'm also familiar with the beaches of L.A., Lower Alabama.
Oh, Lower Alabama. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's when I went to Tuscaloosa. That was how people they would say, "Oh, I'm from L.A." And then I was like, "Oh, being from Florida, I had no idea Lower Alabama." So,
Yep. Yep. We were in last year. We went to Fort Morgan, Alabama, and so that's kind of over in there in LA. And so yeah, my mom grew up down on the coast of Mississippi, and so
yeah.
we spend a lot of time going back to the beach.
No, that's it's great. It's I know all of these places pretty well because I grew up outside of Athens, Georgia, and
Okay.
then I went to high school in Fort Lauderdale, and I went to college at Tuscaloosa. So I spent a lot of time up all in the southeast. So
That's right. I love it.
yeah. All right. So, but we're not here to talk about the South. I mean, even though I'm sure it'll come up. You founded a company called Pickleball Pop Ups, and I thought it was really cool because you have this really like neat little phrase that you created called Pickleball as a service. Can you explain that to people so they understand what you're talking about?
Yeah, so pickleball as a service is the fun concept that we coined around it. My business partner actually spent most of his career in software sales, and so that's through B2B marketing and sales and our backgrounds. That's how we connected and befriended and ultimately became business partners. And so he was in SaaS, and so we joked about him moving from SaaS to like PaaS,
Yeah.
pickleball as a service. And so, but really what that means is that we provide pickleball, I mean, as a service. We bring it, we set it up, we staff it, we run it, we brand it, we activate it, we teach people how to play pickleball, we run tournaments if we need to, and it's anywhere. It's a lot of conference halls and hotel ballrooms and company parking lots and parking decks and rooftops, right? All the places that don't have pickleball and won't ever have permanent pickleball, they can't in those
Yeah.
scenarios. That's where we come in. And so we can bring pickleball where there's not pickleball and transform, I mean, any space into a pickleball facility, if you will, from whether 1 to 10 courts or 1 to 10 months or even years. And so we do that specifically for corporate events, conferences, festivals, large scale events.
And knowing that, like, 'cause I like the idea of pass pickleball as a service, but I also understand pickleball's having a moment, or has been having a moment, not just having a moment, has been having a moment, um, and I like the benefits of it, right? So it's fun, it's healthy for people. It allows people to build a community around it. We were even joking earlier, is like craft beer and pickleball go hand in hand, which I was
Yes.
definitely excited about. Um, how, you know, how helpful is this trend like for your business? Because I just couldn't imagine a business like this being created a couple years ago, but it's like really, really cool.
Yeah, it is. And so the best way to answer that is probably to explain how the hell we got here in the first place, which, believe it or not, was not by design. And so Adam and I started the business in 2023, and the goal was we wanted to open a facility in Memphis. Really, the only place to play was Lifetime Fitness. They had 3 courts. They had a pretty steep membership and some outdoor stuff, but there was no just like intentional pickleball option. And so we
Mhm.
were like, he had lost a ton of weight playing pickleball. It kind of transformed his life and put him on a healthier path. And so he wanted to, leverage the success that he'd had over the past decade in software sales and start a company. And I came in as the marketing arm of that. And the marketing plan to launch the brand was a series of pickleball pop-up parties around Memphis. And we had gotten wind from a buddy that he was going to go out to one of the breweries and like chalk down some lines, and he had a net that he kept in the back of his truck, and they were going to play, and the brewery was okay with it. And I immediately got I was like, oh my goodness, can I talk to that same guy? And he put me in touch with him, and I pitched the idea of like a full-blown pickleball party where we bring out courts, we bring out tents, we invite the public. And he said yes. And then 3 other breweries said yes within like 45 minutes of talking to him. And then Adam and I discussed it. And then a few hours later, we'd purchased our first 4 portable pickleball courts, because we were like, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And the rest is kind of history. We did a few of these around town. We targeted breweries specifically because they would give us their parking lots for free. So like, because they knew that I'd bring hundreds of people for this, or they took a gamble that we would. And they had amazing days, right? The first one we ever did, which hilariously was like the worst playing experience ever, because it was a sport court on like a dance floor platform, like a makeshift decking underneath a giant tent. So you had like low ceilings because it was a big tent, because it needed to be covered. It was 98 degrees in Memphis when we decided to do these for the first time ever. And you had a really low ceiling, and you had this just like dance floor that's like hollow in the middle. And then you had the sport court on top of it, which is, it's just like an interlocking tile. And so it plays a little bit differently than a tennis court would naturally. And so it was just like the perfect storm of like terrible pickleball setups. And, but the event went gangbusters, and we had like over 500 people show up. That brewery that day said it doubled their best like beer sales day ever. And, that trend seemed to continue as we bounced around the rest of them. So we hired a videographer to capture all of it, and all of that stuff went online. And then the unexpected thing was that we started getting interest organically, like can you bring those to my thing? Can you bring one of those to my event? Can you do a pickleball pop up at my place? And they started calling it that. And so we did 2 things. One, we did a financial model on that type of company versus the facility that we were looking at already. And that's what all of this was for. We had no thought process of pickleball pop-ups at this point versus a rental style business. And it was just like immediately made sense to take it seriously. And so we stood up a website called pickleballpopups.com. We took a gamble that that's what people were calling it, that there was more people searching for it than we could perceive or use marketing data to tell us, because there was nothing when we were kind of creating it. And turns out that was 2 of our best decisions ever, because that immediately Google was ranking us at the top for those related searches, and pickleball rentals and pickleball pop-ups, which is what people were calling it, and portable pickleball and things like that. And so that has driven, our business to this point. And so now we've got a lot of exciting stuff coming down the pipeline, and that's going to take it to the next level. But yeah, it was all kind of an accident born out of a marketing plan for a totally separate business model that actually ultimately did open. We own that facility. We operate the facility. It's called Pickleball 901 here in Memphis, Tennessee. And so it took longer than we expected to actually get the facility open. And so we did all these pop-up events in the meantime to keep building our brand. We built a big customer base, or a list, like a contact list of 3,000 people from these free pickleball events, because we just asked for their email and their contact info to play for 15 or 20 minutes at a time. And then they'd go drink a few beers and eat some food and shop at the little vendors that were out there. And so it all just like worked really well. And so we've really taken that and said, hey, instead of us going and creating our own events, because that's the difficult part, is being the promoter, how can we go and leverage this same success at already existing events that could use an alternative to traditional event activations, if you will? And so that's been the pivot. It wasn't even a pivot. That's been the path that we've been on, is recognizing early that, backyards and bar mitzvahs and weddings is not the lane we want to be in. We want to be in corporate events, large, huge events where pickleball is complementary to the whole thing and not the centerpiece. And so for a local pickleball club, absolutely throw pickleball parties. It's worked. It crushed for us. It built us a brand. And that brand is showing to be a stronghold against competition that's trying to come into the area. And so, but from the corporate event side, it's, that's our focus.
Okay. So Let me ask. Yeah, so when you started,
Yeah.
there was no monetization model. Like you just went out to these with your four pickleball court or portable pickleball courts to the breweries, and you doubled their sales. Uh, they got like the greatest value ever.
Yes. That's what we wanted. We didn't know if it was going to work, right? Like we weren't looking at, there was no template we could look at to say, is this pickleball party going to work? We did not know. All we knew is that there was bars that had pickleball across the country that were making a lot of money. And we had been to some of them and we were like, well, what if we could just do this for one day? Is this something that is marketable? And so we strung 4 or 5 of them together, called it a summer series. We sold a little bitty sponsorship that in hindsight covered like none of the expenses. But yeah, we invested in it.
Yeah.
And that was, there was no financial incentive for us. And that's why I think it works so well, is because we did open it up for free and hundreds of people were able to access it, which is the important part about pickleball, is the accessibility.
Right. And probably after you had your summer series and you showed that, like, oh man, when we bring it to your microbrewery or your brewery or wherever, and you like have it make all these sales, it makes it whatever the rental fee is or whatever the cost is, it becomes a lot easier to make that sale. Or
It does. And to be fair, like the budgets that corporate events have versus the budgets that a brewery have are different, right?
yeah,
And
of
so
course.
we don't, and that's why I think it's two totally separate strategies, and why we didn't go build our typically breweries don't hire us, and we don't prospect breweries
Hmm.
because they got to sell a whole lot of beer for it to make it worth it for us. Because we
Hmm.
got to ship these things around the country. I'm flying people all around the country. We are, for the most part, a logistics company. But it did prove to us that there is demand for
Yeah.
pickleball in otherwise unused spaces,
Yeah.
whenever you want to drop them down. So
Well, that's the thing I'm curious about. Well, actually, I take that back. I'm going to step back one more step before we go on to the usage thing. Was like you talked about like the marketing, that you being the marketing person and knowing that there was like demand there, but like not being able to validate it because there's like no way to validate a brand new idea. What kind of steps did you take though to make sure that like when you took this bet that the likelihood of success was like at least 50-50? Because I mean, when you're launching something really brand new, you don't want to like pull it out of thin air. But the thing is like some of the best leaps forward are pulled out of like
yeah,
kind of the ether.
yeah, that's a great question. From the facility perspective, the original business plan, we did do a survey out front. We did two things. We said, hey, everybody, we're coming. And so then we gauged the response to that. And that was very positive. So it was like people were super excited to have a pickleball concept coming, right? That was phase one. Um, and we knew like there's no harm in that. Like you start telling people that you're going to do it. And if it doesn't happen or you can't get the building or whatever, like, yeah, maybe there's some people that get a little bit upset because they were looking forward to it, but there's no harm done if you've got to reel that back in. And so that's what we did, is we announced it and then we surveyed people, and then the survey was the initial lead generator. So
Hmm.
like that was our initial like list builder concept, was we ran a big survey inside one of the Facebook groups. And so that's how we prepared ourselves for Pickleball 901. But from the event standpoint, the thing that catapulted the rest of it, you know, I don't know if it was as much about me or us studying or doing a specific research tactic to make sure it was 50-50, but my experience in marketing in a lot of the B2B stuff showed me how powerful events are,
Hmm.
right? And
Yep.
so a
Yep.
lot of virtual events, like, working with consultants, if a consultant can do a good job of getting 30, 40, 50 people in front of them in a virtual audience on a weekly or biweekly basis, then their business is going to grow, right? And
Yep.
they're going to naturally connect, just like podcasts, right? Similar, very similar. And so an event that is a marketable thing, it's can be separate from the money making part of your business, like going in from a business going and hosting a panel event with a luncheon and it's just people talking. Like there's a content play there and it lives for a long time and there's an engagement play. And so I just when I heard my buddy say that he was going to go and tape the lines down, it just kind of clicked in my head. Like all of that was like the perfect thing is to do an event, a pickleball event. Nobody's doing that. And especially in the way that we tied it together pretty quickly, doing it at breweries and bars, and iconic places with an actual physical, like a legitimate portable court. Like just, we couldn't find anybody doing it. And it was almost like that was the bet, was like, this, all signs point to this making complete sense. All signs point to the fundamentals of this should work. And all signs point to the pickleball demands going so fast that even if they're not pickleball folks, they'll want to, it's a spectacle that they'll want to come see.
Yeah. They've heard about it. Yeah.
And so it was just like, I couldn't, I'm getting chills right now thinking about going back through that whole process, but, I couldn't imagine a world where it wouldn't work. And so, and then it did. And it worked in a myriad of ways. And so now, you know, that's put us in a position to, like, you know, we've got a ton of people who want pickleball at their stuff. We got a ton of larger companies that are looking at, how do I own the pickleball category without getting into the pro pickleball scene and the sponsoring players, and, you know, and how do they get there? And we're kind of a unique vehicle to that. And that's where we want to be. And so that's, yeah, it's opened us up to a lot. And there's a lot of things coming down the pipeline in the next 3 to 6 months that I can't talk about right now, but they're super exciting, and they're super
You're fishing for an invite to come back.
Hey, there's a method to the madness, if anybody knows me. And so, yeah, because we're excited. It's going to put us on the map big time.
Yeah.
And it's really validating, right? It's validated that we have a concept that more people than just our team believes has a big opportunity. And so yeah, I mean, I'm thrilled. I wake up every day and I'm working on pickleball, and it is awesome.
Yeah, no. So I'm curious about the different spaces and the way that you can create pickleball courts, because a lot of people who listen, so we have the audience is going to be a lot of people who run venues and events and or like creative spaces, and then there's just a lot of people who just manage brands and strategy. But like a lot of times, what people are looking for is they're looking for something that that'll fit into this like space that they have. Like you said, it can go from 1 to 10 courts, right? And then you talked about some of the unique places. I think that you took the pickleball courts at the start. Yeah, so I'm curious about some of that stuff.
Yeah, so it can kind of go anywhere, right? And so if you have the budget for it, it can pretty much go anywhere we need to. Like the story that I told about the decking at the beginning, we have totally found better solutions than that, right? Like you can do it on sand. You can do it in there's products out there that you can do it in the water now, which is kind of crazy, and we've never been asked that. But the most common for us is concrete in like a big ballroom, or like a big trade show hall, conference hall, or ballroom carpet, like in still in a hotel, like a hotel convention center type thin ballroom carpet. Once you get into grass, dirt, sand, anything like that, you've got to construct something underneath it. But again, that's nothing more than just a budget issue. And so that really depends on the type of event. And so the size, and that's where things get interesting. And we've done a lot of different concepts. The maximum size that you're looking at is 30 feet wide by 60 feet. And that's with the whole playing area and then plenty of out of bounds space to be able to move around and not be crammed. And so that's standard. And so most of the time we're bringing a full court that's like that size, and we're dropping it down in empty space in a big expo hall, or a parking lot, or a parking deck, or whatever at a big company, or in the lobby of the commercial building, something like that. But we can also shrink it down. And so we have a few different types of courts. One of those types of courts can actually is modular enough to where if we need to go smaller than that regulation size, we can do it. the court is smaller and you don't have a full-size regulation playing area. But the beauty of pickleball is that doesn't really matter. And
Right.
so we're doing some events coming up that are like 20 by 10. And so it's just kind of like a little court where you can just lightly hit it back and forth or play some games and hit it in the bucket. More of a trade show kind of a booth activation as opposed to the whole wellness activation at the conference. So you can go really small if you need to with the game without losing a ton to an extent. We do that all the time to fit spaces. And so, yeah, I mean, it can, because we have a thicker surface that is more durable, it can go on like not perfectly flat stuff because it's thick enough to not really matter a whole lot. And we've also got like a really championship court surface that we need the full size for that. If your sponsor's like a huge pickleball person and they're like wanting to pay for like a real court, like we can put a real court that feels like a tennis court that, is gritty and the sand grit surface. Like we can go either direction. And so we like to customize it to whatever the goal is of the client, that we know we're selling an experience and we're selling an activation and we're selling like an engagement point. But ultimately we're selling something they can flip to their sponsors in more cases than one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask this then. Because a lot of people are here listening that have events, they host events, they have venues or whatever. Are there like unique ways that like you've seen people use your pickleball courts to create like activations and events around like their normal activities?
So
or is that possible? I mean,
we've done tournaments. So like I've done a variety of different tournaments, like weaving through these conferences. So if you think about like I'm coordinating with 50 people or 100 people 3 or 4 weeks ahead of time, trying to get schedules and brackets created. We've also got technology. We've done, everybody comes together for 3 to 4 hours at one time, and there's people signed up for a tournament, and we can run it that way. And so, but what we try to not do is we try not to interfere. And this is another one of the beautiful parts about how pickleball can operate in these events is it doesn't interfere, and we try to avoid interfering with all the other programming that's already going on, because that's what they're there for. And we just want to be, an alternative that keeps them in the expo hall or keeps them engaged for 20, 30, 40 extra minutes that they otherwise wouldn't be. And so that's where I say that to say that the pickleball court itself in there is unique enough and is spectacle enough to where you don't, as long as you have a team there, which is usually my team, facilitating the play, making sure everybody gets on there and gets enough time to play, but doesn't overstay their welcome if there's a line, like that flow of play and being able to teach people how to play on the spot and help people be comfortable to step out there. And they're watching other people that probably aren't athletic as well if they're scared to play. It's just a very welcoming atmosphere. It's a very lightweight activation from like a physical sport thing, and it's just accessible to all ages, all skill levels, all languages at international events, right? Like I remember we were in Maryland at a conference for, it's like a healthcare tech company, and we had 4 people on the court, and they all 4 spoke different languages, and it didn't matter, like that we were still able to convey the rules really quickly just by showing them. And and they were immediately able to communicate. They were communicating and playing together, and they all spoke a different language, and it was crazy. But that to me, like that is a picture of pickleball, though. That is a picture of exactly what it's looking like in growth around the world. It's exactly what our facility customers look like. It's not they're all speaking different languages, but that it's just like such a diverse crowd, and that's perfect for these events.
Yeah. So let me see if I have it right, because this might be helpful for people who are listening. There's probably 2 or 3 really big areas where you're super can be super valuable and super helpful. Number one is like just people who are planning events, like corporate events that are kind of I'll say it so you don't have to, can get kind of stale and like boring and repetitive. Number two is like, and this is like where I was like, my gosh, we should talk to every conference planner going. It's like you put the thing in the middle of the trade, or put it somewhere around the trade show, or like different activations around the trade show. Because one of the big challenges I know that like conference creators have is getting people to go into the trade show and hang out in the trade show, right? So pickleball plus like, partner with a craft beer or so, or and like some food and stuff, and you can get people to hang out for a little bit longer. Or if you're really smart, you set one of those little modular pickleball courts and have some kind of competitions on your thing. And then the third thing is like just would be like with the tournaments and things like this is utilizing your space in a unique way to bring people, like, so people experience you or your building, or like you're part of your community, your neighborhood, whatever, in a unique way. Would that be accurate, or am I missing anything?
It'd be totally accurate. That's totally accurate. And so all three of those are check, and check.
And so putting something together like this, right? Like bringing someone like you in,
Yep.
what are like you said you're a logistics company. So, what logistically, what does that look like? Because I think, what if I took it out to somebody, that would be one of the first objections that people would have for me, is like going, well, this sounds complicated.
Oh, it's so turnkey. Like
Yeah.
we are, for the most part,
Sounds great, but complicated.
yeah. I mean, unless we show up and we can't find our crates, then there's our clients typically don't have to do too much. And so we are based here in Memphis, Tennessee, which is the logistics capital of the world, I think. And so we have a warehouse here. We own a bunch of courts, and those courts go in and out. And so we handle all of the procuring of, like, we can brand certain aspects of it, right? You put branding on the court, you can brand all the paddles, you can put branding on the nets, on the barriers surrounding the court, big backstop, 20 foot by 8 foot displays. Like, we can do all those things, but we handle all the procurement of all that stuff, and then we ship it, and it arrives just through our carrier. And we work really seamlessly with Freeman and GES and Shepherd and all the different names out there that are helping with these shows. And I've got Sean on my team, who's my right-hand man, who handles all of that. And so he's specifically focused on the logistics and operational aspects, so that, we're 100% accurate with our shipments all the time. And that it is a smooth experience. So we have teams that show up, they know exactly what to do. They set this stuff up, they activate it the whole time. Because that's, for the most part, my team will set it up, and then they'll go home and go to the hotel, go to sleep. And then the next 3 or 4 days of the show, they're running it. They're teaching people how to play pickleball all day. They're playing with pickleball. And we try to make it where we at least have 2 people, as many times as we can, because if just one person walks up and wants to play, we want to be able to play with them. And they can play with just one other person, but getting every single person into a full game of pickleball is our goal. And so, but to your point about the snacks and the food and the activations around it, that's kind of our next phase. Is we're getting really good at, it's there on time. We've got teams, we're running it. It's really efficient. People are happy. And now we're looking at how can we, whether that's through the consultative nature of talking with our leads and clients about how to activate it better, or us having our own ghost partners, if you will, to provide drinks, snack, hydration, all that stuff at every single one of our activations. That's kind of the next phase of how do we improve this experience? How do we capture more of the halo effect? Because the reality, Dave, is that only 4 people can play at a time, but 100 people can watch. And so, right, so you can literally 10 to 20x the number of people who engage with the activation without jumping on the court and playing. But most of right now, the lead conversion, if you will, the badge scanning, is a result of who's going to come out here and play. And so we're trying to, we're cognizant of, like, hey, there's the impact of this activation is much bigger than what the data can tell us right now. How do we improve and get more of that halo effect, so that the real impact of these activations are felt? And so, which is exciting. I'm glad that that's a problem we're solving.
No, I think it's great, because you know what, that's one of the big issues you have is like getting people to pay attention, right?
Right.
You talked about just brand awareness and people needing to understand like seeing your brand and knowing your brand or like engaging in your brand in a way that makes it memorable. I mean, this is the biggest issue when you go to the trade shows. It's like most people don't care. They have maybe one or two specific things they want to see. And they want to get in and out as fast as possible. So like anything that you can do to make the activation, like you said, more engaging, more the sticky, I guess would be the term a lot of people would use. It's going to be helpful,
Right.
and a wise conference organizer or conference planner um, could do a lot of like really fun things with something like what you're offering because again you have a captured audience, like people are like they've scanned their badge in, right? You have a line
Right.
of 20 people that are waiting to play, right? All of a sudden their 20 people have two or three friends that want to see them play, mainly because they want to see them make a fool of themselves at the conference,
Correct.
right? It's going to be amazing. So then all of a sudden it gives you a lot of room to play.
It does. And then there's a level you haven't mentioned, but is so common, and that's the repeats, the people who come in there more than once. Right. And so,
And they
thinking
bring
about,
new people because they're like, you got to see this.
yes. And even to your point earlier, getting people back in the trade show a second time in the exhibit hall, if that's a challenge, pickleball, we have every single event. There's a few people who are there, they come back and they come back and they come
Mm-hmm.
back and they bring people. And that's, again, it's what you want. We want, you know, I'll backpedal a little bit. One of the things that we did by design at our original pop-up events was that we created a queue on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was no pre-registration, there was no sign up to play in advance. It starts at 12 and you can show up at 12, scan the QR code, sign the waiver, and then from there we had a staff that would pick your time. Like, of course, they're going to pick the soonest one, but they'd have, 15 minutes. And then that queue starts to form. And then you have an hour wait to play 20 minutes of pickleball.
Yeah.
But there's 400 people there, so nobody cares because they're having fun. And so then we infuse vendors into that, which in my case is, the relevant case here is other exhibitors in the exhibit hall. Then you infuse that, and then they're able to take advantage of that halo effect. And we had a company come out called the Dive Shop, like diving, scuba diving gear and
Yeah.
excursions. Now, mind you, I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. There's not any scuba diving happening in the Mississippi River or anywhere close to us. They came out and
8 hours where you're going to the Destin.
Exactly. They came
Maybe.
out as a vendor to one of these and had a huge day. And it just kind of like those things started happening, and it just started proving how universal the pickleball halo effect can do damage at these events. And so
Yeah.
we're trying to get better at that. And but we also lean on, we like to lean on our clients and just kind of let them fester on those ideas, because we are not the experiential and experts, right? Like we stick to our pickleball lane. We know what we're good at, and we don't try to be like, oh no, we'll handle all the branding that you want to do around it. Like, no, if you want to do signs in a wellness area, like do that. If you want to do more signage than what we're doing, do that. We're going to brand what we can brand, and we're going to control what we can control and what we're good at. And hopefully those two continued work together with these clients and repeat clients. I think it'll just, we get new ideas every time. I love working with event experts.
No, I think it's great. So Jacob, where can people find you on the internet?
So the most common place that I'm talking is LinkedIn. And so you can just search my name or search Pickleball Pop Ups. Either way, you will find me. But if you want to check out our company, it's pickleballpopups.com. And you can see a gallery of all the different events that we've done. Like you can just see all the different examples of ways that we've used these courts and places and, expo halls and the terrace of the San Diego Convention Center. And, these brewery pop-ups are all in there that we did too. So, I would encourage you to go there. And if you want to hear me talking about pickleball and events and other related marketing nonsense, and Cracker Barrel, because I had to get in on that too. LinkedIn is the place to go.
Cracker Barrel, yeah, exactly.
And they need
That was
pickleball.
amazing.
That's my argument is they just need pickleball. You're right. Like throw the Hail Mary, put a couple pickleball courts outside of some of these that are struggling, see what happens. Like it's
But
pretty low cost, and I know a guy who can help make it happen, even if you want to do it for a couple weeks. And so that's
pickleball on those like interstate ones that like are
yeah,
struggling.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
People have been driving for 3, 4, 5 hours. They want to take a little break. They're hungry.
It's a
There's
perfect family activity, and it fits
I
well.
don't
Like,
disagree.
you see, if you really want to line it up, campgrounds, places to camp
Yeah.
and RV,
Mm-hmm.
they're adding pickleball in lots of scenarios. And so you can park your camper at Cracker Barrel. And so like there's overlaps. I made my pitch. I'm sure they won't hear it. Maybe one.
Oh, you see, that's where you never know because like
Hey, I'm making a DM.
Professor Dave has a long reach.
Hey,
Well,
I got one of the earliest signs of that we were onto something was I got a DM on LinkedIn from the CMO of a major restaurant chain. And I was just like, I remember I was standing downstairs in the house I'm in right now, and I was just looking at my phone, and I was like, he gave me his cell phone number and said, call me. And I was like, no way. I know exactly and I knew exactly what his idea was before I even called him. And ultimately we couldn't get it to work out. I mean, and we were fresh, and thank God that never happened, because it would have broke us probably.
Mm-hmm.
But it was to get that type of, validation so early was like, all right, we need to lean into this, because it would have been, let me put it this way, orange courts, and I'll leave it at that. It would have been an orange court tour.
Yeah. Well, you also learned a powerful lesson before you even really got started about it's okay to say no.
Yeah.
If it's not going to work.
Yeah. And it was a mutual, like, they had Super Bowl and other marketing campaigns, and they were going to have to figure out how to get this in the middle. And like, it was also a good early
They probably
test.
had a famous Masters location in Augusta at the Masters that they're known for.
Maybe. Yeah. So, so I had to be.
If it's the same orange I'm thinking of, yes.
I bet it is, because, yeah. And so,
some beach locations.
And it was like, again, I'm looking at it, I'm going, I know your idea. I know exactly what your idea is. And sure enough, I was right. And yeah, that's fine. He's still a champion. He likes all my stuff on LinkedIn. And so, it's been a really fun journey. And we just love the fact that, we're bringing something positive. We're bringing something healthy. We're hearing all the time, like, oh, this is my favorite thing. Like, I just like to just be able to let my hair down for 20 minutes in between these sessions was awesome. 90% of the people that walk up, they're like, I've never seen a pickleball court where it doesn't belong before. Like, not even a trade show, not somewhere it doesn't belong. And so it's just cool to be able to like give people a feeling that's positive no matter what. And every time we show up, nobody shows up to the pickleball court mad, and nobody leaves mad. And so it's just,
I was gonna say nobody leaves mad probably either.
No. And that's healthy. Like, that's healthy for our team, and that's healthy to keep employees, and that's healthy for, our churn rate with customers. And so, we're just right in the middle of a public health phenomenon of pickleball, honestly. And that public health phenomenon is going to quickly get into corporate health, and community health, and societal health. Like, there's a clear path there. We're got our hand in a lot of these, just because we're the only ones people can find that do this.
Yeah. All right.
So
plug it one more time then, because we totally kept going. So plug it one more time.
Pickleballpopups.com.
All right. Perfect. Jacob, thanks for doing this, man.
No, this is great. I love this.
Let me know what you thought of my conversation with Jacob by sending me a message. It's my name, Dave at davewakeman.com. Check out my website. It's davewakeman.com. As I mentioned at the start, I am running the first annual 2025 Talking Tickets survey. It is for people who market and sell live events in sports, entertainment, performing arts, any place where people go to have fun. The link is in the show notes. I'm going to tell you about the research strategy and the numbers needed to make this a valid survey. If I get 93 responses, it'll give me 90% accuracy with a 10% plus or minus. 384 will get me to 95% accuracy at a 5% plus or minus rate. So I'm trying to hit those numbers. We're almost to that first one now, even before I've released this podcast. So that's great. But check it out. It'll help me guide new ideas. It'll help me provide information to you and ideas to you. I will share this report with everybody when it comes out, but the people who fill it out will get it first. And also will have access to a special webinar with question and answers that I'll do for people who respond to the survey. So check that out. Like I mentioned too, I want to get some great new guests on the podcast. So if you have an idea or a guest suggestion, please send it my way, dave@davewakeman.com. And as always, I like to tell you, I couldn't do this without you. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll talk to you soon. Take it easy.